There's something about the way you're approaching the situation that's of broad appeal. There's some archetypal pattern that's you're acting out in your conduct in your podcast, because otherwise it wouldn't have the effect it has.
It's true. I agree. I don't know what it is, but because
Well, you know some of it. We talked about some of it. You know, you said that you can apprehend the outline of some of the principles. Some of that you probably discovered as you went along, rather than, you know, putting them in place to begin with. This seems to work.
Yeah.
You know, so that's a discovery of a pathway.
Well, as a podcaster as well, I don't think you really truly understand your principles until they're tested. So, and especially when they're tested from both sides. So, this side's telling you to be more like this, and this side's screaming at you to be more like this. And you're faced with a decision. When when I started out as a podcaster, there was no one screaming, there was no one there.
Right.
But at some point in the journey, you get immense pressure.
Yeah. Well, then you're
and
also
that forces a decision out of you.
Yeah, well,
forces
you're
the
also
thought,
in a situation then when you have to start worrying about your reputation,
Yeah.
which is something you don't have to worry about when no one knows who you are.
Yeah.
And it's very dangerous to worry about your reputation. As soon as you start worrying about your reputation as a podcaster, you're going to fail.
Yeah.
Because you're not interesting then. You'll stop taking risks.
Yeah.
So then, another question emerges. You got people yelling at you from this side and this side. Well, how do you know what's right? Well, it isn't. Partly it's by listening, because you want to pay attention to your audience, but there's something guiding you if you do what you're doing properly that has nothing to do with the clamor.
Yeah. Yeah. It's funny because actually it links back to some of the principles we've talked about today. It's one of the things I've learned is having a good relationship, like good friendships and a good relationship with my wife is actually the foundation for me to be able to navigate people screaming at me from both sides.
Yeah, why?
Because it just anchors me in. It's like an anchor of like knowing who I actually am, irrespective of the crowd telling you who you are.
Yeah,
So
yeah. Well,
like
that's a very good illustration of distributed identity.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like you are your wife and your friends and your family.
Yeah.
Right. There's no fundamentally. There cannot be any separation there. That's And when you said you experienced that, it's like that's part of what gives you a foundation. It's like, yeah, that's not illusory.